Why do I choose to have long hair? Why don't I just cut it and get a real hairstyle? Well, believe it or not, having long hair is my preferred hairstyle. It's just as much as a hairstyle as a pixie cut is a hairstyle. I've been asked this question so many times that it has merited a video, which is kind of ridiculous in itself, that I have to defend my choices, even the simplest of choices, like how I choose to wear my hair. But enough people have asked me about it that yeah, I feel that I do have to make a video on it. And bear in mind that these are my personal choices, and I'm not trying to convince anybody else to grow out their hair. I'm just saying, or I'm just explaining the benefits from my point of view of having long hair. Because I can. This is the short answer that I give to people, the accusatory people who come up to me on the street and they're just like, why do you have long hair? And you know right off the bat that you can't win an argument with them, so you just want to get them off your case. But basically, there is some merit to that. Some people have longer terminal hair length than others. This is genetically determined partially. And so some people can only grow their hair to their shoulders before the actual follicle, the hair falls out of the follicle. Some people like myself can grow it past our knees, and you can see yet other people who can grow their hair well past floor length. Basically, I am taking advantage of my genetic predisposition, and I want to see what my terminal hair length is. I want to see how far it can go. It's kind of an experiment in myself. My second reason is that I really don't care for modern trends. If anybody hasn't gathered that by the fact that I wear corsets, I prefer kind of the old-time aesthetic, and I know from about the 1920s onward, having extremely long hair was never really fashionable or trendy, but if you look at photographs or paintings from well beyond or well prior to the 20th century, 500, 1,000 years ago, you see paintings of people with very long hair. That was a sort of timeless classic beauty. And you never see a rendition of, say, The Birth of Venus where she has a side cut. My third reason is that it's easier, it's cheaper, and it takes less time to take care of when it's long compared to when it's short. And I know that's not true for everybody, but it is in my case. My hair is naturally curly, and just because of the length of it, the weight of itself weighs most of it down, so it doesn't appear curly a lot of the time, except for my shorter pieces here, my bangs that are growing out. Those that I do have to flat iron. However, if I were to cut my hair to my shoulders, it would go wildly curly. It would be voluminous as all hell, and I would have to style it and straighten it every day just to make myself not look feral, and styling leads to damage, and then I would have to do more styling and more abuse to it to hide the damage that's already been done. And it's sort of a vicious circle, and I see a lot of my friends doing that, and I'm just like, leave it alone. I don't grow my hair because of any particular religion. I'm not Sikh, I'm not Pentecostal. I don't follow any particular doctrine that tells me that I have to grow my hair out. Everybody in my family is capable of growing very long hair, but I'm the only person who chooses to wear my hair long. Sometimes I wish that I were able to tell people that I'm Sikh or something because I look a little bit Indian. I could probably get away with it, but truthfully, no. I don't grow my hair because I'm supposed to. I grow my hair because I want to, and I'm not going to lie about any particular religion just to have an excuse for the way that I look. Another reason that I've come to realize in the last year and a half or so is that my hair is now sort of a commodity, and not in the sense that I could cut it off and sell it for a couple $100 or $1,000, but that people see my hair and they take it as inspiration to go on their own hair growth journey, and reach their own hair goals. And I am really, really shy in real life. I tend to not approach other people, but others will come up to me and ask me about my hair, and they'll use my hair as a conversation starter. And as long as they're not accusatory or they're not closed-minded or trying to convince me to cut my hair or donate it or something, then I'll be happy to speak with them. I find it extremely flattering that people here on YouTube or people that stop me on the street consider me an authority for healthy hair growth. Although really I don't consider myself any particular authority. I just take a back seat and let my hair do what it's supposed to do in nature. But if I were to cut my hair, like cut it all off, like right to my chin, or if some crazy guy on the street came up to me and chopped my hair off, I wouldn't really suffer any loss of identity. My identity is in my mind, it's not in my hair. My hair doesn't drive my life, although I like having long hair. Like I said, it's a style. But I would miss the opportunity of speaking with so many great people because it is a conversation starter and because it is a source of inspiration for others. But along the same vein of people approaching me because of my hair, a lot of people think it's okay to accuse me of pining for attention, and that's the only reason that I keep my hair long. If that were true, then I wouldn't put my hair in updos for every second day. I wouldn't stuff my hair under hats. There are certain days that I go outside, I don't feel like talking to strangers, and so I will, stuff my hair under a hat. I will wear my corset underneath my clothes so I look normal and people don't come up to me. But I find it very hypocritical when somebody comes up to me and they have pink highlights in their hair or some very elaborate hairdo with a lot of braids and curls, and they're accusing me of trying to get attention for doing nothing with my hair, including not cutting it, when they are obviously doing things with their hair to gain attention as well. Another thing that I enjoy about my hair is that it's great for temperature regulation. So if it's hot outside, then I can just put it up in a Nautilus bun. And because of its length, I don't need any ponytail holders or clips or pins to keep it up. It basically keeps it up by itself. So I'm never stuck with having my hair down. And I don't have to resort to using really damaging elastic bands or anything. And if it gets chilly in the evenings, then I can just let my hair down, and it covers just as much as a regular shawl or pashmina would. It's probably warmer than one. Another reason I like having long hair is because I cosplay. And it is very convenient to not have to wear a wig when I'm cosplaying any anime characters or manga characters that have excessively long hair. The most I would have to do in that situation is maybe use a temporary dye or those colored hair spray paints to give it a green or a blue tinge depending on what character I'm doing. Another thing that you may or may not consider a benefit is that hair provides a basic timeline of your health. So I can look at my hair, and depending on how thick or thin the hair strand is, how kind of smooth and glossy or kind of weirdly kinked it is, I can tell when I have been malnourished, when I was anemic. I can tell when I was taking prescription medications. Basically, I can tell general times of sickness and general times of health just by looking at my hair. And you would be surprised by how many different types of drugs and medications stay permanently in your hair shaft. That is why in certain careers, like in the military or in sports, you do a hair test to see what kind of drugs you've been taking in the last 3 months or so. With my hair, somebody can take a lock of my hair to a lab and they can see my health profile for the past 8 to 10 years. And it makes sense on an evolutionary level that hair is one of the first things people tend to notice about the opposite sex. I mean, you can focus on how nice their teeth are or how bright their eyes are or if their skin is clear and glowing, and that'll give you a health profile of that person basically right now. However, if you look at their hair, you look at the state of their hair and how healthy that is, that will give you a health profile of them for the last few months or years, which can sometimes be important when you're choosing a mate because you want to make sure that they'll be able to live through whatever viruses or whatever elements they may be presented with in the next few years. So these are my reasons for keeping my hair long and preferring not to cut it short. And once again, these are just my personal reasons. Other people might have different reasons for keeping their hair long. If you have long hair and you like to keep it long, comment down below and tell me your reasons. And once again, I'm not trying to convince other people to grow their hair long. I'm just explaining why I don't feel that I should have to cut it short. So that's all, and I will see you in a few days for my next video. Bye.